Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WWE Elimination Chamber preview. We're about to break down all of these matches, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to hop right on into it. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, WWE Elimination Chamber preview. You can find me on Twitter at 2SweetPod. That's the number 2 Sweet POD and at OMG Corey B. So we're gonna hop right on into it, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta say, Elimination Chamber. This is the most dull, the most less built up to Elimination Chamber that I can remember in history. And there's no hyperbole there because, man, we're building up to this Saudi pay-per-view. We're doing all these other things except building up to Elimination Chamber. And Elimination Chamber is a hell of a pay-per-view, man. I gotta say that. You know, Elimination Chamber, we had the steady matches of, okay, there's the Royal Rumble match, and the brand that doesn't win the Royal Rumble is going to have its Elimination Chamber match. But we get to it here, and guess what? We got Goldberg, and Roman Reigns just declares himself the number 1 contender. He says he's next, and guess what? We don't even have a men's Elimination Chamber match, which is just downright ridiculous. Roman Reigns just comes down. He hasn't earned a number 1 contendership whatsoever, and he declares himself in the matchup at WrestleMania, which is something that's probably going to be listed as a co-main event. Who knows? It's just downright ridiculous, and there's no argument to defend it. So we get to this Elimination Chamber. Not much has been built up, but the first match we're going to go down to is Natalya versus Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler, Asuka, who may or may not still be injured by the time we get to Elimination Chamber, Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan. That's going to be the women's Elimination Chamber match for Raw. I gotta say that I am somewhat excited for this match in particular, but there's a looming cloud hanging over it. Like, WWE really screwed up here. You can't start a Shayna Baszler angle with Becky Lynch. You can't have Shayna Baszler bite out Becky Lynch's neck, which I still cannot believe that they did that angle. And then try to put forth a women's Elimination Chamber match where it's like, okay, we don't know who wins here. Like, obviously you've booked yourself into a corner. You can't have somebody surprisingly win, because then it's like, well, why are we not doing Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch in a singles match? And if Shayna Baszler wins, it's like, oh, we knew that all along. So I'm excited for the action that's going to take place in this matchup. We'll see what happens with Asuka. I don't know if she's still injured or not. We shall see. But the other competitors in the match, they've told some decent stories as we've built up in the limited time that we've had to this Elimination Chamber matchup. Liv Morgan versus Ruby Riott and Sarah Logan. I'm interested to see what happens there. Former Riott Squad members. We had that match on Monday Night Raw where Sarah Logan stood tall of all people. But I'm excited to see what happens there. And you know what? It is going to be a good match, but at the end of the day, I have Shayna Baszler winning the matchup. I don't know how it goes down. I don't know who it comes down to at the end. I would love for it to come down to either Shayna Baszler and Liv Morgan or Shayna Baszler and Asuka if she's healthy enough to get the matchup. But Shayna Baszler picks up the victory here. Moving on, we go to the SmackDown Tag Team Championship matchup, and this is going to be an Elimination Chamber as well, taking the place of the men's Elimination Chamber that we were supposed to have. Thanks WWE, thanks Roman Reigns for just coming down and declaring yourself the number 1 contender. But anyways, it is the Miz and John Morrison versus the New Day versus Heavy Machinery, excuse me, versus Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler, the Usos. And you know what? When the Miz and John Morrison captured the titles at the Saudi pay-per-view, the first thing I said was, okay, we're going to get a rematch with the New Day and the Miz and John Morrison. And surprisingly enough, we get the Elimination Chamber matchup. And I got to say that this is going to be a hell of a matchup. This is the most exciting matchup that I'm looking forward to the most, excuse me, if I could get myself together here, the matchup that I'm looking forward to the most, and it is going to be exciting. We have the Usos. Anytime the Usos and the New Day share a ring together, there is electricity abound. And you know what? I don't know who's going to win here. Wrestling intuition would tell me that they just put the titles on The Miz and John Morrison, so it would be a bad look if they took it off of them. But I think that the main competitors that have a chance here are obviously Miz, John Morrison, the New Day, and the Usos. These are the guys that have been going back and forth, obviously, as we built up into the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. So at the end of the day, I am going to go with my wrestling intuition and say that Miz and John Morrison retains the titles here in what will be the matchup of the night, ladies and gentlemen. So as we move on, man, we go to Braun Strowman versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro and Sami Zayn in a 3-on-1 handicap match for the Intercontinental Championship. There is so many things going wrong here. Like, for what? For why? For who? Why are we doing this? Like, I look at Shinsuke, I look at Cesaro, and I look at Sami Zayn, and I think that, man, I don't necessarily know if I could say it's 3 guys being wasted, but it is 3 guys not being used to their full potential in WWE. At this point, you need to turn Shinsuke Nakamura backface because the heel thing has not been working out for an extremely long time now. Turn him backface, the fans want to cheer him. Sami Zayn, man, like, I enjoy the guy on the mic, but he's a wrestler. He's not an advocate. He should be putting on great matches night in and night out. Same for Cesaro. He's not just somebody that stands around and is just the muscle of the group. This guy should be putting on fantastic matchups night in and night out. Looking at this match, like, what are they gonna do if they never even laid out the stipulation? Like, if Nakamura, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn win, are they gonna freebird the Intercontinental title? Is Nakamura just the Intercontinental champion by himself if they win? They never laid that out, and the feud itself I'm just not interested in. At the end of the day, some way, somehow, Braun Strowman is gonna beat all 3 men because we know that to be true. Braun Strowman is gonna get the victory here. Moving on, we got the Raw Tag Team Championship on the line. It's the Street Profits versus Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. I gotta say that, man, it was a fantastic matchup on Monday Night Raw. You don't hear that every day. But the Street Profits, Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, Street Profits picked up the victory. I was very excited about that. Seems like Vince is trying to redeem himself after Black History Month. We won't even go down that. We won't even go down that line. But as we head into Elimination Chamber, the Street Profits, look, they need a lengthy title reign because you cannot have them lose here. They will look like absolute and total flukes if they lose this matchup, if they lose the championships back to Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. At the end of that, I expect a phenomenal match. I expect a match of the night candidate. And I expect the Street Profits to pick up the victory here. So this is another match that I'm going to say slightly excited about. I expect it to be a phenomenal matchup. Moving on, we got AJ Styles versus Alistair Black. And I gotta say, man, I'm very ticked off about this feud. When you just think about it, let's just say they weren't even feuding yet. If I was to tell you that AJ Styles and Alistair Black would get into a feud, first thing you think is, man, that is a WrestleMania level matchup. And like, I gotta say that we got this going, and the matchup last week was not exciting. Alistair Black takes his first pinfall victory, I think, in WWE. His first singles pinfall victory in WWE, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just on a whimper, man. Like, this is just something to build to AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. And I gotta say that is very disappointing. Like, you could have built AJ Styles and Undertaker another way, and then we could have jumped into AJ Styles versus Alistair Black. This is a match that could have gone down, not gonna do it at WrestleMania. It could have gone down at SummerSlam, for goodness sakes. But here it is. We got AJ Styles versus Alistair Black, and it's a no disqualification matchup, so the OC can interfere at any given time that they want. I don't understand that stipulation. At best, it should have been AJ Styles versus Alistair Black, OC banned from ringside. So at the end of the day, man, AJ Styles will pick up the victory here. This feud is just nothing more than a stepping stone to get us to AJ Styles and The Undertaker at WrestleMania, which is very disappointing because we've been building up Alistair Black, and this is the payoff. Like, he's gonna lose to AJ Styles, and then whatever happens to him after that. You know what? I'm gonna give it a chance, but I gotta say, yeah, man, I'm very disappointed to see what they're doing with Alistair Black. So AJ Styles picks up the victory there. Maybe we get an Undertaker appearance at Elimination Chamber. We'll see. United States Championship on the line. Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo El Idolo. This should be a really good matchup. The only problem, man, is that I have no interest whatsoever in the actual feud. Look, I know they've been going back and forth. Humberto took Andrade out, quote unquote. And you know what? Andrade's back now. And you know what? It's going to be a fantastic matchup, but Humberto, it just isn't working out for me. Like, I found myself not to be interested in him because 1 week it is fierce, angry Humberto, and the next week it's slapping hands with the fans Humberto, joyous babyface Humberto. And I'm like, can we just make up our minds on what character this guy is, first of all? Second of all, like, the feud just doesn't do it for me. Sure, it's fantastic matchups, but I like to be invested into something, especially when it comes to pay-per-view matchups. I like to be invested into a build, as we lead into a pay-per-view matchup, and I'm not invested into this whatsoever. Andrade picks up the victory here. He remains the United States champion. So that is it for the elimination predictions. And I gotta say that, man, it's just a very underwhelming pay-per-view. Not a whole lot to get interested into, not a whole lot to get excited about, but a couple of matches here and there that I'm gonna be very interested in. We'll see how it plays out as we're on the road to WrestleMania. Feel free to follow me at 2SweetPod and at OMG Corey B. I am out.